Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TST Podgecast, your one-stop shop for everything Vibes TCG related. I am the Mudman, here as always with Caution Fun and the Professor. How you guys going today?
Doing great, Mudman. Happy to be here.
I'm doing good too. Glad to be back. Had some technical issues, but we fixed it, and you guys did a great job with the last episode. So thanks for doing that.
Oh, too kind.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. The gang's all here this time, and we even have a very special guest, arguably the greatest Vibes player in the entire world, at least for the paper edition. We have
By
most metrics, we have Cherry Hill Tournament champion Bonk
Woo!
in the building.
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
Bonk, how you going?
I'm great. Thanks for the warm welcome, guys. Happy to be here.
No problem, champ.
They still riding high from the big win?
Yeah, adrenaline has not stopped. It's
Excellent.
been days.
That's awesome.
Nice.
We're coasting.
Nice.
Oh yeah, so we've got a lot to talk about for this podcast episode. We of course have the hot details from the Cherry Hill tournament, but we also have some brand new cards that were spoiled for the Legend of the Littles set coming out in just a few months, and there may have even been a little bit of a ladder shakeup that we'll get to at the end. But what do you guys think? Should we start things off with the new cards?
I'd say so. I'd say we should start with the one that we're on right now.
I agree.
That sounds good to me.
Prof, you in?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is the one of the biggest requests from the community, and the expansions looks like it's going to be answering it. So go ahead and take it away, Mudman.
All right, so this is Tina Who Tears, and or is it tears?
Yeah, it's gonna be tears.
That makes sense because she's tearing. I was put on the spot. Well, I'm reading it from back here, and this is a Lil penguin. You can see it has the Lil tag, and when this penguin enters the huddle, you can choose a relic, and if you do, put that face down as a rod. So we finally have some real relic removal.
Baby.
Absolutely. Although, is it removal?
Well, it's getting rid of the effect. It's keeping it on the board. Also, an important thing to note: this is a blue penguin, 3 fish cost with just one little vibe.
Yep, 1 vibe, 1 blue pudge, and a new subtype, penguin Lil.
Yep.
It's always exciting. Yeah, but you said it, Prof. This is something the community has been asking for: more ways to interact with relics. And yeah, while it isn't outright removal, it does just as well a job. It won't change the permanent counts or anything, which I think is a fair way of balancing this type of effect. But much more effective than hit the high note, right?
Oh yeah, hit the high note. I think you can argue does nothing. This is very impactful. A lot of the decks that are running lots of relics in general, right, like Inspiring Stories and Caffeines, they're usually also running Bounce House Rods. So there's a chance that you can recycle your relic, but that would require you to have a Bounce House Rod, hold a Bounce House Rod. So it's cool that you can still play around the Tina Who Tears, but that would be with like quite a strong resource.
Yeah, for sure. And I wonder if this is the only means of interacting with relics that we'll get in the new set. But it's for sure, it's already a super impactful one. How many copies of this card make it into like almost every meta deck nowadays? In the current meta, I feel like it would be a 2 or 3 of in so many decks.
Yeah, definitely. It could be like a real strong tech card. Also, just like a decent standalone card in general. Just like a cheap blue pudge if you're interested in blue pudge. And the 1 vibe is great for protecting your more important penguins from Popcorn Penguin. Keep your wizards around. Keep your daydreamers around.
100%. Yeah. Blue pudge, you could argue, is the most valuable pudge in the game. So, it's really, really interesting. I was very happy to see this.
Yeah, this is a really cool card.
Wait. Why is blue the most valuable pudge?
I would argue that their arsenal of 2 pudge actions is just great. Most notably, Spring a Leak. I think Bridge to Layer 0 could be interesting if more decks had easier access to it. Yeah, that's the main reason I would say.
Yeah.
Probably Spring a Leak for the most part.
Yeah, but the abundance of blue actions, the cost 2, makes it so you can do a lot with just a little bit of blue pudge.
Yeah.
And this is a strong enough effect to make you want to splash blue anyway. Like if you're playing this plus like some
sneaky penguins,
some sneaky penguins or some misplaced penguins, then that could be like enough blue to splash in some actions.
100%.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once this card's out because right now I'm probably thinking Inspiring Story is the most played card. It's just that's my hunch, either that one or Popcorn. But because Inspiring Stories use so much, this is almost going to be an auto include, as Caution said, maybe just two or three. But I wonder when everybody starts including this card, how does that affect relics overall?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a new equilibrium to find.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Like
know.
relics and like popcorn penguins in general. Like if there's a great big influx of these one vibe penguins that like aren't that big of a deal if they get eaten, maybe you don't run popcorn penguins in your yellow deck anymore.
Yeah, I mean you're right. I mean this card, its main impact happens when it hits the board. You're not going to care about losing the body.
Yep.
So much. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right on.
It's a little set too, so might be more to it than that.
It looks like it's a common, right? It's a that talk about that little logo at the bottom. What do you guys think that is?
Cracked egg.
Yes. Cracked egg. A bunch of the Lils are wearing cracked eggs as if they're hats.
Adorable.
And so since it's gray, this is a common, so it should be easy to get, right?
Yep.
Could be uncommon, maybe. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
but yeah,
common
either
is
way.
white, right?
Yeah, but like also like who knows? Maybe they're gonna screw around with the rarity. But I'm pretty confident it's not gonna be rare or epic, so it should be relatively easy to get.
I'm 100% sure it's not rare, and I'll tell you why when we get to the next spoilers.
All right. Speaking of, should we move on?
I was hoping that could be a cool segue.
Yeah, sure. I have no more thoughts.
All right.
Boom! Look at that guy on the left there. That's a rare. And you can tell.
Yeah, because the yellow.
Oh yeah.
All right, so which one are we jumping into first? Who wants to start it off?
I mean, I read left to right. So I'll start. We got on the left here, the rare, we have Frosterus the Great. He is a penguin with the subtype Lil Swordsman. He costs 4 fish, 1 vibe penguin, who produces 1 yellow pudge. 4 fish, 1 vibe, 1 pudge.
Gross. This
And
penguin's terrible.
He has an act ability that costs 1 yellow pudge and 1 green pudge, in addition to flopping Frosterus the Great. At which point, if you pull all that off, you can choose a flopped Lil and ice it. Interesting.
Yeah, pretty neat. Right, so if you're living the dream and everything goes according to plan, then you can ice one of your opponent's penguins every turn, once per turn, maybe even twice if you have twists available.
If it's Lil,
If it's Lil, yeah, provided if you're living the dream, your opponent's playing a Lil deck, you've got plenty of yellow and green, pudge to work with, and maybe you can destroy a penguin every single turn.
For sure. And I mean, it's not like, it requires 1 yellow pudge and 1 green pudge. And it's not as if yellow or green are short on ways to flop their opponent's penguins, right? You have Clam, you have Buddy Up,
Yep.
Mysterious Penguin, plethora of options there. So, yes, I could see this being extremely strong, especially if, we see a lot of really impactful low cards enter the fold here. That said, I mean, that is a steep cost. 4 fish penguin. It's only 1 vibe, so it's not contributing to the vibe checks there. And, not only do you need to flop it, you need 1 yellow, 1 green, unless there's a new penguin we see that comes out that produces like 1 yellow and 1 green pudge. That I feel like this might just be too steep a cost, mostly because it can be interrupted very easily.
I was going to say, it can also be stopped. Right,
yeah. I mean, it says you have to choose a flopped Lil and ice it. So, the fact that it has 1 vibe, all of the act abilities on like 1 or 2 vibe penguins, they can be disrupted with Gotham's, right? But on top of that, this can be disrupted with What a Twist from your opponent. If they simply unflop the Lil you're targeting, its effect will probably fizzle, right?
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have your standard removal. You can stop it with Not Your Keys. You can stop it with Walk the Runway.
And no penguin is more walkable than this.
That being said, probably immune to Adventure Squad.
Hopefully. In a way. Hopefully. What do you think, Prof?
Yeah, same thing. I think it's a very steep cost, and it's so specific in its benefit, which is destroying a Lil that has to be flopped. So I'm curious to see how strong the Lils are going to be that you're going to need this card. But What I'm more interested in is the digital version of this card, because I'm looking at the art and it looks like it's wearing a hoodie and it's holding two balloon swords. So I'd like to see that win. I know it's only a one vibe, but I'd like to see that win the vibe check and see what it does.
Professor brings up an excellent point. We have yet to see any hooded penguins do anything.
We have yet to see any Lil penguins win a vibe check.
Yeah, what are they going to look like? Are they going to be
smaller?
Lil? When the Lil penguins enter the huddle and they start vibing, will Lucky Penguin have a shirt? Only time will tell.
The important question.
Yes, the big questions on all of our minds.
Yeah, what will Frosters do with the balloons? I mean, will he be waving them around or will they show up?
I can't wait.
I can't wait. I hope it's something cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like Bashful Swordsman, he has his sword on his back.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's just always in its sheath.
Yes, but balloons don't need sheaths because they're not sharp.
Right. They're Lil friendly.
Yeah, they're a little friendly.
Right.
Yeah. And then knowing Wink. Yeah, I don't know.
I think now that we're scrutinizing the art, I think we might have gotten through all the important points for this card.
Yeah, you want to take the next one there, Mugman?
Sure. We got a little solo adventure, and there's a purple penguin. Once again, costs 3. This one's vibing a lot relative to the other littles. It has 3 vibe.
Whew.
And whenever a location is played, draw a card. Whenever another little solo adventure enters the huddle, ice this penguin.
Whew.
So, lots of questions.
Lots to unpack there. What's a location?
That's like a place, like Disney World.
Cherry Hill.
Yeah, Cherry Hill, that's a location.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So whenever I play Cherry Hill or Disney World,
If that's a card.
I can draw a card. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah, but you can't stack your little adventures.
Yes, clearly not. And, it doesn't even say whenever you play another little solo adventure. It's just whenever another little solo adventure enters a huddle, ice this penguin.
Yep.
So there can be one of these on board, and it's removed by your opponent's little solo adventure. Very, very interesting.
Which definitely implies that this card is good.
Yes, right? It implies the value of drawing a card every time a location is played is very high, which makes sense.
It's leading me to believe that there's going to be like location counterplay. I drop a location. Professor hates this vista. He drops his own location.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not so sure. It almost makes me think that locations are permanents, because I know that they place a really high value on permanents that can replace themselves. And this clearly enables all locations to replace themselves in your hand. So I don't know. Can locations stack? These clearly can't.
Yeah.
So maybe they work something like that into every location card, where if another location enters a huddle, ice this location.
Yeah, that's how I would assume, because lots of card games have what I assume are location-esque things.
Right.
Right, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has field spells, Pokemon has stadium cards, all that type of stuff. But
both examples, you can only have one on board.
Yeah, but what I'm interested in is will the locations do things where it's your Lils get +1 vibe, right? Like a simple, easy to digest thing, or will it be something more like in Pokemon with the stadium, where it's once per turn, each player can use the stadium to do a thing. Look at the top card in their deck, put it on the bottom if they don't like it. Or look through their deck for an action, flip a coin, get it. Something weird like that. Or will it just be simple stuff?
I mean, we have both kind of effects on relics already. Right?
Yeah, exactly. How are they going to distinguish themselves from relics?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume one easy way would be to just make all the effects mutual.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Inspiring Story only buffs your side, locations would buff all. That said, we kind of have a similar effect in Too Much Caffeine.
Yeah, that affects both sides of the board.
What's the Cookies of Truth?
Cookies of Truth.
Yeah.
Silent Snow Globe affects both sides of the board.
For sure. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to think, what another easy way to distinguish them from relics would be only one can exist on board at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or maybe the locations will change the game state entirely. Maybe if narrow
upside down.
Yeah, or if
low vibe wins.
Yeah, Narrow Valley is in play. Now you can only have 10 or fewer penguins in play at one time, or something weird like that. Or the Twisted World where lower vibe check wins.
That would make sense with all these one vibers coming out. A lot of ties, I bet.
That'd be cool. That'd be neat.
Trustfall OP.
Yeah, trust me, big buff card.
Yeah, for real. Huh. Very interesting. So much to consider. This one definitely gives us the most speculative juice now.
Yeah, at least until we see our first location.
Right. And how many? There's only 150 cards in the set. That's also something we can glean from these spoilers. All of these set numbers are out of 150, so a little bit smaller than Enter the Huddle, 75% of the size. But it's just sure to shake up the meta.
Oh, 100%.
It's just based off the 2 of the 3 that we've read so far. I mean, good lord.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once we get more information on what locations are, specifically if it's something that you guys are starting to speculate on. Let's say it's a location is a small igloo, only Lils can be in play. Ice everything else that's not a little. So yeah, that'll be interesting once we get more leaks and spoilers from the team on there. You guys ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, fourth and final spoiler so far, unless we've missed one since we started recording here. This is our first action spoiler there. It's called Frolic. It's a yellow action requiring 3 yellow pudge. And it says, choose 3 penguins. Put 3 vibe counters on each of them. This is an interesting card. The fact that it says 3 penguins. There's so many interactions there that obviously if you only have 2 penguins on your side of the board and your opponent has 1, you're going to be forced to choose one of their penguins for sure.
Yes.
But now, is this disruptable in the same way that a peace out penguin effect is disruptable if one of the 2 targets is removed or have an encore, something like that? If I remove one of the 3 penguins targeted on top of the stack, does this whole effect fizzle? Do the 2 other targets go off? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have no idea. But I will say what I've been thinking about when looking at Frolic is they've alluded to mixing colors together, right?
Yes.
It doesn't say yellow penguins. So what if I had a couple of red mega penguins on the board and I target each of them with this?
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just gonna be +1 vibe counter city.
+3 vibe counters.
Yeah, if you have 3 red mega penguins on board and you get to pick all of them with this, then you get to pick them all again.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And so forth.
And so forth. Yeah, that'd be a crazy interaction. Also, there's we already saw a yellow-green combo card. We know green gets along with vibe counters pretty well there. Could be some further synergies down the line. But,
and then another one, last and certainly least. What's that yellow card that's its name is a nonsense word? It's
Shape and Goozat.
Yeah, shape. This is a big Shape and Goozer activator right here. This card.
All the gas Shape and Goozat needs.
Yeah, see, because before shaping Goozard was stupid because your extrovert penguin's already holding all the vibe counters. Why should he hold the vibe counters? But now you can distribute the vibe counters evenly with Frolic in a way that's not desirable, and then play that horrible card.
Sounds awesome when you say it like that.
Yeah,
Really enticing.
you can play that terrible card, and he's one of the most beautiful vibe check penguins because he's one of the few penguins that wears pants.
It's a great.
Anything to add?
No. I think Mudman put the exclamation mark on this card. I'm good to get to our special guest. What do you guys think? Have we made them wait enough?
Oh yeah, I'd love to get to the meat of the podcast.
Thanks for saying that.
So Bonk, how are you?
Oh, I'm great.
That's awesome.
Living the life.
Yeah. We got your deck list up on the screen there. This is the winning deck list from the Cherry Hill 1K tournament.
Yep.
I held this past weekend in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at Top Deck Games. Big shouts to Top Deck Games and Cardio, Cardi.io. It was the tournament hosting platform that we used there. After the initial setup, everything went super smoothly.
Yeah, we're fun.
And Top Deck Games did a great job, hosting us. What a beautiful space.
Yeah, crazy store. I've never been in a card shop so big and with so many things. Professor, if you've ever thought to yourself, I'd like a fake patch of grass, but this one's not for me. then this is a store for you because they have a variety of fake patches of grass
What?
Dozens.
for all of your tabletop gameplay needs.
Wow.
Every single dice you can imagine, every single size card sleeve you can imagine, every product, like even products that I've literally not seen anywhere not sold out. They just had like shelves of them, like the latest like Pokemon sets that you just can't find anywhere. They have a selection, like a variety. It was really insane.
Disc golf discs for all distances.
It's
Wow.
like if you have like a hobby, they have all your stuff there.
Yeah, this place had it all.
It's incredible.
And then just a huge gameplay area. Like it wasn't just the Vibes tournament going on. There was a Pokemon tournament. There was a
Flesh and
Blood tournament. There was that like Warhammer 40K thing, and that's the people with the fake grass and the cool measuring tapes.
It looked fun. But yeah, wonderful place. But yeah, I mean, most importantly, yeah, there was $1,000 in prizes up for grabs. So we had a bunch of people, bringing some. I would argue optimal decks, and definitely trying their hardest there. Definitely played, closer to a legitimate tournament than maybe the HQ exhibition that the Mudman and I attended previously.
Yeah, there were far few people who like picked up their first Vibes deck that day.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there were a few newer players there for sure, running like improved like yellow decks essentially. That was a popular choice, but yeah, I mean, we were great deal of deck diversity. And the finals ended up about how you would expect it. It was red. Mega, even could you even argue it was red mega? It was like just red.
Yeah,
like,
it was a red deck.
Yeah, it was
red mega penguin deck.
Red Mega Penguin versus Green Juggler, just like everyone expected.
Yeah, but before we get too much into Bonk's championship run, we were there as well. We didn't do quite as well as Bonk, obviously.
Yeah.
But I might as well go over what we played, a quick overview before we get into the play-by-play of Bonk's great run.
For sure, yeah. It was 5 rounds of Swiss, amongst all participants there. We both went 2 and 3, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. I ran a Blue Mill deck. I would say like on, if I had like wonderful luck, I probably could have gone 4 and 1. The one being my matchup against Bonk here. He absolutely stomped me. I don't think on my deck's best day I stood any kind of chance. That said, I ran into 2 folks who teched Singular Bunkus into their deck and wasn't able to mill it, and gave them just enough gas to outlast me there. But yeah, I don't know. I had fun every single round. Like I said, I played a wide variety of decks. I played some yellow, some red, some green, and Bizbunk there. So I wouldn't say any single archetype dominated the meta. It was really nice to see. How about you? What did you run into?
Well, I played yellow, just like a pretty standard like yum list with your yellow pages and your penguins who might bring a +1. Unfortunately for me, my penguin who might bring a +1 was very adamant about flying solo for this tournament. I hit very few penguins off my +1s, despite almost always having them in the mulligans. So that was a bit of a bummer. But same as Caution, I had a great time. I've had very similar matchups. I played against the Blue Mill, although it wasn't Caution, and boy, did I make him look silly with my teched-in Bunkus. So that was fun.
It's a risky run.
Yeah, played against some red, a little bit of green, a couple yellow mirror matches. But if I could do it again, I would have my +1s hit, and I think that would be really great.
Yeah, that's a good point. If I could do it again, I would misplace their Bunkuses.
That's a great idea. But let's get to what we're all really here for. Bonk and his amazing run. So Bonk, you ran the Green Juggler deck. What led you to that decision? What was your process going in?
Well, the main thing that led me to that decision was the fact that I had been running it on the digital client. So I was between yellow and green, again, because those are the decks that I've been running on the digital client. But I was leaning towards green just because I've been running that more lately, and it just feels solid. the deck runs on tempo, which just like kind of feels natural for me to run, and has several little outs and a few win conditions. So it's not like you're pigeonholing yourself into playing it like one way. And if things don't go perfectly for you, you can still win with it. So that was the thinking behind the deck. Before the tournament, I had a couple Gotems in there, and I was sitting there before I drove over thinking about it, and I ended up taking those out. The thinking there was just to lean into the tempo more, and there's 4 walk the runways, 4 popcorns, which in the digital version, I might not run 4 walk the runway. I'm not sure, but regardless, I felt like I had enough removal to take the Gotham out and lean into Penguins.
Yeah, that seems very legitimate, and we're in a unique situation right now where Caution and I are the people who invented this archetype. So if we have a good intimate understanding of this like particular style of deck. And there are like a couple of changes you made. You touched on one of them. You got 4 walk the runways instead of like the more standard 3. But I think the most notable change that you made is the cleanup good. It looks like you have 1, maybe 2 copies of cleanup good.
Yeah, it's 2. I didn't do a great job with this the sorting here. Sorry about that. But so that was actually what went in from the Gotham decision. So it was the 2 cleanup goods, and basically I was thinking it just felt like a better kind of out rather than trying to remove my opponent's stuff, focus on adding more win cons.
Hell yeah. Yeah, especially, those 2 decisions lead into each other. Got them, even if you do pull it off effectively, it does set you back half a turn, all else equal. And so this just further leans into that, get to 14, get to 15, have the biggest thing.
Totally.
I love that.
Yeah, your likelihood of having a win con upon being ready for a win con is very high with this list.
100%, yeah. And teched in the Bunkus there. I'm sure that was clutch in some matches. Did you run into Blue Mill outside of me?
I did not, and I did not play my Bismarck, my Bunkus once.
Yeah,
no,
I certainly didn't need it against me there. And I love the double Koi Penguin edition as well. Like it pairs nicely with the cleanup good. It can be the 3rd Pudge. Make sure you can contest the board with a Clam Twist no matter what. And you have 8 buffs in there. So I really like the decision, because what's got him there for, right? Got him there for the Bizbunk and the yellow matchup, right?
Yep.
I think you have enough removal to survive the yellow matchup there. And as far as the Bizbunk goes, you have an alternative win condition here. Like, let them play their big Bunkus and maybe get past them now. Do we have a picture of maybe that exact thing happening? Let's recap real quick. You went 4-1 in the Swiss rounds, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember what your loss was to?
Yes, the loss was to Big Green.
Bigger Green.
Huh,
no kidding.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting. I felt really confident in the match overall, and we got into like the final couple rounds, and I had a walk the runway and everybody stay clam in my hand, and I played walk the runway, and on top of a not a rod anymore. Sorry. So my opponent was buffing their own thing. I played a walk the runway to deny it, and that would have been a game winner right there. My opponent played another not a rod anymore on top of the walk the runway.
Wow. So it mutually destroyed rather than one-sided?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I lost on the spot from that move. And it was interesting. You don't really see not a rod anymore in green.
Yeah, green
conventionally.
And there's 2. There's more than 1.
Yeah, there was 2.
Okay, yeah, super fair to not go into that turn expecting double not a rod anymore.
Right. Like, if you asked me what I would do differently in the entire tournament, it would be that turn, and I would have played everybody stay clam, but there's that.
Yeah, it's super reasonable to play around, what a twist more than not a rod anymore in that scenario. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so that was the 1 loss. Did you steamroll everybody else like you steamrolled me, or were there some close matchups?
I would say in the Swiss round, I went up against Bizbunk, and that was a bit of a steamroll. Mainly kind of lucked out. I hit the optimal line of Blossoming Penguin into Sliding Penguin into Popcorn Penguin, which is good against Bizbunk. And then at some point, I followed that up with a second Popcorn, and it was basically over from there, yeah. Other than that, I ran into a yellow deck, which was a good match. I felt a little lucky, honestly, because I thought the match was going to keep going, and my opponent just didn't have any outs, and a little bit of an anticlimactic win there.
Cool.
And the other one in the Swiss round was the red mega matchup, and that was a really good match. Honestly, I can't remember too many specifics. I just remember it was a long match, bit of a grind, and was able to pull through at the end.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I caught the very end of that match. It seemed close, and like a lot of things had happened while I wasn't watching.
Yes,
So, yeah.
It was a long match. I definitely remember that.
That was a doozy. I did play that same match or same opponent there, and that was my longest match of the tournament.
Pretty sure that was the longest match of the tournament.
Yeah, I played that same opponent, and that was once again the longest match of that round. That the red player must have been so tired by the end of the tournament. He was always the last round.
Yep, and I mean, no spoilers there, but so 4-1, definitely good enough to move on to the
Big
bracket,
show, the Final Four.
The Final Four. They did a bracket style best of one elimination bracket after the 5 rounds of Swiss there. So you moved on to the semifinals, and your first match was against Bonk again, correct?
Yes, the same one I went up against in the Swiss round, and this one was way different than the first time.
Gotcha. Do we have a picture of the end board state there? Oh, there it is. Holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out Bunkus isn't always the biggest penguin.
Oh, man. All right. So at the bottom here, we have a cleanup good, and just above that, we have a penguin with color with what looks like 70 some odd vibe counters on it. Do you want to walk us through what happened there?
Yeah, so the game overall was pretty hairy. My opponent's board was massive. I think they also posted a picture of that on the Twitter somewhere. But it was
three Bunkus, right?
Yeah. Just overall, the entire match, it was feeling pretty close, like not super confident. And then my opponent, they played 3 Bunkus on the board. It was getting close to the Bismo move, but they couldn't pull it off, so they were left with 3 32 vibe Bunkus on the board.
Bunkai.
Sorry, yes, Bunkai, of course. I was able to play a Koi Penguin.
Look at that board state.
Yeah.
Good lord.
It's pretty nuts. The massive cards that you see is an ice pile. That's what they look like in real life when you play Bizbunk.
Yeah, and just big shout out to the Bizbunk player for being so efficient with the ice. He could have had it in one big stack and made that game take 3 times as long.
Oh yeah, he played it very well.
That's Tom from To the Moon cards there. Good guy, great guy.
Yeah, played it efficiently and also great guy. I played a Koi Penguin on my Penguin in color to bring that up to 32 vibe. To match the Bunkus, and then you can see my 2 sliding penguin, which put it up to 36. And the thing about Bizbunk and this play specifically is that they still have a lot of ways to buff up the Bunkus on their action phase. So just having those 2 buffs wasn't enough to keep it above the Bunkus. So on the action phase, they buffed it up, and then I responded by playing the cleanup good to double the vibe.
And the crowd went wild.
Yes.
Beautiful. And we can see Tom here holding 2 Spring Leaks in his hand. I understand those were the next 2 cards in his deck.
Right. Yeah. The pictures you see are after the game. So he's looking through what was coming.
He's digging for his leaks.
Gotcha.
Such and so forth.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. And, the entirety of this board state is absolutely nuts. But it's also just awesome to see. This is the semifinal match, and I'm just looking at the situation, not thinking about maybe what could have happened earlier in the game. Although I do see some inspiring stories on Tom's board. So those Gothams definitely would have been less effective, probably would have been irrelevant. And the card that you slotted in place, Cleanup Good,
won the
ends
game.
up winning you the game. I think that's awesome. I think that's super poetic. And a hell of a match. You can just tell by looking at it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, that felt like the highlight for me, definitely.
100%, yeah. So 72 vibe Penguin in color.
Yep.
To win the match in the semifinals, and that moved you on to the final matchup, which was a rematch against the Red Mega Penguin deck.
Oh, yeah.
And did that game go as long as the first game?
It's a good question. I
Had to
didn't
be
have
close.
the, I
It
didn't
was
have
a
the
long
comparison of the other people next to me to know, but
That's fair.
I was in the flow state. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Not that day I didn't, but previous. But no, yeah, that was another awesome match there at the end. Presented a multitude of problems for your opponent, and ended up finishing it off with the clam combo. No.
Yeah. So that one, it was another kind of hairy match where, like, mid game, I was feeling like I might not be able to pull it through. At the end, I had a few turns where it still was not feeling super confident. My opponent had a Peace Out Penguin on the board, and I played a Walk the Runway on that with no follow-up just to get it off the board because I knew I wasn't going to be able to win that turn. I had 14 permanents.
Force their hand at least.
Yeah, exactly. I had to get that off the board and just do something, and I had 2 Everybody Stay Clam to follow up with. So the idea was get rid of their removal, and then I have 2 turns to win with Everybody Stay Clam, and I was able to win the next turn, so I didn't need the second one.
Yeah, that was a super, super clutch victory. And on that turn you're talking about there, the proactive Walk the Runway on the Peace Out Penguin. Yeah, I thought that was an extremely bold move. Usually I think anybody's intuition in that scenario is to try to wait to use it reactively once they commit to using it on something. I think a lot of people there would also opt to, send it to the next turn via clam. To buy themselves another turn and get access to another card.
Yeah, that was a really cool turn. I remember watching that, and I thought you were going to double Walk the Runway because you had a lot of Pudge available. And I remember as you were doing it, I was standing right next to Spencer, and I looked over to him, and we both said, like, he's going to do the double runway. And then it didn't happen, and you still won. It was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So kind of to reiterate, like, it was a very tricky situation because red has access to so much removal and, like, so much cycling that I was kind of having to make decisions for the next 2 turns rather than trying to, like, do the best thing this turn.
100%. Yeah. Because, you can't, put all your eggs in the walk basket and just, get your target on your side removed and have no follow-up. So, definitely making sure you still have something to do the next turn or the turn after. Absolutely huge in that situation. Yeah, it's just a really, really great call, especially in a moment like that. In the finals, you've played the most games out of anybody. You're in the middle of a long game there. That was a really classy move to keep the game going and clinch it on the next turn there. I was still a little worried the next turn as well, worried he would have some amount of disruption.
Yeah, because he was drawing 4+ cards a turn with all of his red megas going on.
Right. I think what might have clutched it, I'm not exactly sure, but on the final turn, I was able to let him kind of take initiative and play something. So he flopped 2 red Pudge before I played Everybody Stay Clam. And he spent a good minute or 2 thinking after I played Everybody Stay Clam. So it must have been pretty close to where he could have almost had an out, I guess. But yeah, it was definitely a close one.
Yeah, sure. I think if he had a water twist, I think, it might be a different ending there, but
yeah,
clearly didn't. And it doesn't matter how much you cycle before the clam hits. Once it hits,
everybody's flopped.
Yep. So absolutely. It was so cool. And just for us, especially, watching that deck specifically take down a tournament in that nature, we appreciate the validation. I think I speak for Mudman when I say we appreciate you validating the deck to the tune of first place in the Cherry Hill 1K.
Pretty budget-friendly deck, beating the 4 red Mega Penguin epic deck with Bunkuses in there.
And the 4 Bunkus deck.
And the 4 Bunkus deck in there with the Bunkuses.
Absolutely. Yep.
Just real man of the people Bonk.
Yeah, hey, you guys are thanking me. I'm thanking you guys for the build. I won the tournament with it, and mutual thing here. We're all happy.
So gorgeous, dude. It's so tidy. The semifinal and the final wins. There's the Koi cleanup good combo and the clam juggler combo. Just
perfect.
Chef's kiss. Really, really good job, dude.
Yeah,
GG's.
appreciate it, guys. It was a lot of fun. I had an amazing time, and I don't know if we mentioned it, but that was actually my first paper tournament. I played like digital tournaments and stuff, but yeah, that was a really fun experience for me overall.
So 1-0.
Yeah.
1-0 lifetime.
Yeah, watch out, Hartford, Connecticut.
Yep. Back to back. Seriously, that did get me so stoked for Hartford.
Yeah,
What a great
can't
day.
wait.
It did.
We were
Me
just
too.
buzzing the whole day. Mudman and I we carpooled. We both went home with losing records there. Still,
Yeah,
just
super stoked.
super stoked on it the whole time. I mean, your big dub had a lot to do with that, but still, nevertheless, it was just a wonderful time. Everybody's so nice. It's such a nice community. Such a wonderful place. Again, big shouts to Top Deck Games for hosting. The bathrooms, pristine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Pristine
beautiful.
bathrooms. Just a super clean,
Very clean.
friendly place. And man, the selection. I gotta go back there with some trade-ins.
Oh, definitely.
Try to get some more Vibes products.
Yeah, speaking of the selection, I guess I'll talk for a second about my winnings.
Yeah, so tell us about your spoils. What kind of spoils did you get?
Oh, I raked in some nice spoils.
It was a 1K total prize pool, right? What'd you walk away with for first place?
It was 350.
Ooh,
Oh, tree fitty.
Tree fitty.
Tree fitty?
Oh, yes.
You only gave me $1.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. That's
They
not
gave
true.
us 50 big
Yeah, we
ones.
each got 50 big ones. But what'd you use your tree fitty on?
Well, I got 2 Vibes boxes, which
Smart
was
man.
awesome.
Smart
Very cool. And I got a Lego set for me wife.
Nice, Borat.
Yeah.
Everybody wins when Bonk wins.
Exactly.
What?
So
Lego set of what?
it's like a flower, and you can build it 3 different
Oh.
ways. It can be like a boot or a pot.
Oh, that's
It's
so
pretty cool. 3-in-1.
Yeah, that's so sweet. You got a flower.
Yeah. It was romantic too. I didn't even think about that. I should have played that up.
Next time.
Yeah, next tournament. You'll do that for Hartford.
You're a great wingman, Professor.
Yeah, here's a flower.
So anyway, sorry. So I got a 2 Vibes boxes, Lego set, and some deck sleeves too. Some nice deck sleeves for Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I got home. I had a little cracking party with some friends. We opened all the packs, and I opened a foil bunkus.
Awesome.
Yeah, big hit there.
And that's your first ever foil bunkus, I hear?
No, it's actually not.
Whoa, I set you up with a meatball?
He set me up with a meatball. I've got 2 foil bunkus now. I just need
Good
2 more.
Lord.
And then I need to learn how to play bunkus. And it'll be cool.
Not really.
Yeah, maybe not that.
I think you know how to do it.
You have 2 tech cards.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Good call. So other than that, I got a regular Luca, Saves the Penguins.
Always
Awesome.
cool.
Love that card.
Nice.
And I got 2 popcorn penguins.
All right.
Ooh.
All right. So Mudman actually lent me one from my deck that I played in the tournament with. Thank you, Mudman. But I don't need it anymore. I have a 4th and an extra one.
Awesome.
Yeah. So very happy with the event overall. Super stoked on the rewards. It was awesome.
Yeah, whole thing. And I'm saving my store credit because I'm gonna try to pair my store credit with some Pokemon trade-ins store credit,
Like a combo.
And then I'm gonna like combo that store credit with the other one, and then try to make it like a big Vibes thing.
So
you know?
your tournament winnings is like Inspiring Story, and then your Pokemon cards are like Popcorn Penguin.
Yup, absolutely. Well
Yeah.
said.
And Top Deck Games is the opponent.
And then the vibe check is you buying
They're
Legends
the
of the
Baron.
Littles.
Topic Games is the Baron.
Okay.
I'm trying to
okay.
impress them
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. in exchange for some Vibes boxes.
Nice.
Maybe I just save for Legend of the Littles at this point, though.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know what I mean? There's clearly some cool cards in there. I'm gonna need them.
It's not a
Me,
bad idea.
personally, I didn't want to have to drive back to Cherry Hill. So I said to myself, I just got $50 off a Vibes box.
Nice, good call. You get anything as good as a foil bunkus there?
No, I didn't. I got some
Dang.
cool stuff. I got some purple Mega Penguins. I got a 5th Popcorn Penguin, which is always nice.
Right.
I
I
think
got a Luca there, right?
I got a Luca, 2nd Luca.
That seems good.
That's pretty
Nice.
cool.
No, wasn't there another epic? I forget.
If there was, it
Could've
was like
sworn.
a rad chill type. I think.
Probably might have been Shabopolis. Yeah, I could see that. But popcorn's basically a 5th epic.
Yeah,
Pretty
Popcorn's
much.
great.
Yeah, it's huge.
100%.
We did manage to witness a sketch card being pulled at Top Deck Games. That seems notable at least.
Yeah, one of
that was
the
cool.
one of the newer players. That was pretty awesome. Yeah, it started playing I think a couple weeks prior. I think Roland introduced him to the game, and yeah, very very good player. And yeah, bought himself 2 boxes afterwards. Pulled a sketch card.
I think it was loose packs maybe, but yeah,
Awesome.
maybe
Yeah,
a
I thought it
box
was
either
loose
way.
packs.
So sick.
Super cool.
I think every single person that attended had an amazing time.
Yeah, great experience overall. Even when you have a losing record like me.
And me.
So overall, you would say that compared to, I guess, more Caution and Mudman, because you guys attended the last in-person one, that was kind of like a trial run. So this one was definitely a step up in terms of the competition level.
Yeah, I would say. I would say probably on average.
Yeah, there was also
for
a lot of overlap. A lot of the players that came to the HQ mock trial tournament also came here. Like really similar like locations.
Yeah, fun fact: the fellow who finished second in the HQ tourney also finished second to Bonk in this tourney. So second's taken in Hartford, I guess. But he's going for 3 for 3.
Was his name?
I'm sure he wouldn't complain.
Was his name fake
What's
news?
that?
Was his name fake
Oh,
news?
no.
No.
That'd be funny though. Yeah, it was man, that was so awesome. Yeah, they did. Like I said, Top Deck Games did an amazing job hosting it. Like in between each round, everything was pretty well organized. And then when they would announce the matchups for the next round, they had like these jumbotrons on the ceiling.
Yeah, it looks exactly like a jumbotron, but scaled down for like a store, right? Like 4 TVs all sort of like in a cube. With the pairings and the matchups and stuff. It was really cool.
It was so sick.
Wait, did they play?
Had,
did they play entrance music for you guys?
Oh no, I wish that was the only thing that was missing.
They did have a microphone to make announcements, so they did announce the champion of all vibes everywhere, Bonk.
Nice.
That's true.
So you said the organization. So was this in conjunction with the Vibes team, or the store ran it themselves? Like how who organized it? Like
it was both. We had Roland and Spencer from the Vibes team were there, and it was I believe like the head of the store, like the owner of the store, was in charge of our tournament as far as hosting goes. Because they were using, like I said, Cardio as the hosting infrastructure there,
right.
And apparently that's what they're going to be using during the zonals and eventually during the World Championships. So, it was as much a alpha test of like the software, the hosting software, as it was, an alpha test of running like a relatively high stakes tournament. And all of that considered, I think it went super smooth. And, I just had a blast the entire time.
Yeah, and like Caution said, Roland and Spencer were both there acting as judges for the most part, which was really cool to see like proper, like judge responses to like various questions we had. And to put Caution on the spot for a second, you had an interesting judge interaction where you had a game go to time. How did that play out?
Right. Yes. So we did have a game go to time, and at that point in the game, it was 2. We each had 2 like cycles. After that point, we could play 2 more cycles, and if there wasn't a winner determined, we would each take a draw.
That's pretty cool. And then for anyone wondering, the rounds are all 35 minutes, best of 1.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mudman, because I chewed on that for like a day after the tournament, not much since, but that is something I think might need tweaking. I think it might introduce 1 or 2 perverse incentives for people that play slower, maybe more control-oriented decks.
Or not even just slow, control-oriented decks. If you find yourself in a losing position, you could just slow roll. Like from what I saw, there was nothing saying like each action has to be 15 seconds, right? Like in Pokemon, you have 15 seconds to do each individual thing, but you have infinite time for a turn, right? Like there were multiple instances where someone would like play an action or think about their response for over a minute. Like, can that be a thing? Because if I'm losing, I can just think about all my turns for too long and take a draw, and that's probably not fair.
Right.
Interesting point.
Yeah. Something to chew on for sure.
How long did I know you guys faced the Bunkus player. How long did that take? Because I know in the client, the digital client, the Bunkus player's challenges is doing their turn quickly. So how did it go facing someone that was playing Bunkus?
I mean, I only had one Bizbunk matchup, and I landed 3 misplaces, like all on time. So I never really had to worry about my opponent putting together a turn. I think Bonk's probably best equipped to answer this.
Yeah. Like I said, the first match was kind of a steamroll, so that wasn't really a good metric, I guess. But the second match was pretty long. That was my semifinal match, and we were playing alongside the red deck, and we either finished at about exactly the same time, or we might have even finished before the red matchup. The Bunkus player never went to time. I will say that. But
It was only the red matches.
Yeah, it was only the red one. Red one went longer than Bunkus almost every round. I will say that Tom, who we mentioned earlier, who was playing Bizbunk, he played it really efficiently, and like you can see in the screenshot, like spread his ice out and stuff. So
Yeah, it seems like it's down to the individual.
exactly, yeah, that could vary.
Yeah, because like before the tournament, we played some test games on tabletop, and we tested, with Bizbunk. And like when me and Caution were playing Bizbunk, it was taking a lot longer to go through the Bizbunk turns because we weren't separating our ices by how much we want to put things back in our ice. So you have to count it every single time, which makes it more difficult. But yeah, like Bonk said, Tom clearly has played a lot of tabletop Bunkus and has all his ducks in a row.
Nice.
Or I guess penguins in a row.
Be like Tom.
Good one. Real quick, Bonk, back to you. So you got Caution and Mudman cooking up the deck. You played it a ton. For those, there's a great video that Mudman and Caution Fun put it. But in your actual tournament run, what did you notice was your method of winning? Was it mostly cleanup good, or was it just the clam combo? What did you find to be the most common way you won?
Excellent question.
Yeah, good question. I would say definitely everybody stay clam would be the way I won the most times. I run 4 of those, so it was very easy to either draw or bounce out of the rods with bounce house rod. I think cleanup good might have won me one more match than the Bizbunk match we talked about already. Yeah, there's only 2 of those, so it's like almost a tech card at that point. Yeah, it was mostly everybody stay clam. A couple matches I won just by buffing the board generally.
Yeah.
With sliding penguin and inspiring story, and then like walk the runway and stuff.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question. How key was it for you to have popcorn and inspiring story in play? Were you like looking for them, or you felt like you didn't need them?
Generally, I'm hoping to mulligan for a popcorn penguin and that blossoming penguin, sliding penguin combo I mentioned earlier. That's the plan with the mulligan. But it definitely did not rely on that. There was a lot of matches where I didn't get the popcorn going, and I was just able to win with the tempo game plan. And you can see a few Romulus there. So like, if those things don't come off, you can still get something with 16, 18 vibe on the board, and sometimes that's enough.
Right. So again, yeah, there's a great video on the TST YouTube on this deck, so feel free to watch that if you haven't. Jump into the TST Discord for questions. So obviously this deck is S tier.
Obviously,
yeah,
best deck in the world.
So
I think Bonk is S tier.
Best player in the world.
The champ. So in terms of the meta that you guys experience, you mentioned some decks. So can you guys do a quick from each of you? What do you think was the meta tier list for that day? In terms of what you faced, like what did you see a lot of? Obviously, what did you think were the effective decks?
Honestly, like I would put I'd put Clam at S tier. I would put the Red Mega and Bizbunk at A tier, and I would put Yellow and Blue in C tier.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I would say the standout deck for the tournament is like probably the red deck, right? Just because like on ladder you almost never see red.
100%.
And the red deck performed really well throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, and should be noted that in the HQ tourney, although he removed himself from the podium and prize consideration, Spencer did play a red Mega Penguin deck, and he did go 5-0. So something to be said there.
So untapped.
Yeah, so yeah, the main takeaway is the red decks are performing way better IRL than they are on the client, which isn't crazy to think about because playing red on the client is like quite the slog, right? You have a lot of stuff to do during action time all the time.
Yeah,
It's really slow games on the client.
100%.
How about you, Bonk?
Yeah, I would agree with that list. It was a pretty spread meta, I guess you would call it, for the tournament, which I was kind of surprised about.
Me too. Good deck diversity.
Yeah, 100%. Like basically nothing was the majority.
Yeah, there were like 2 different blue mill decks, maybe 3 or 4 yellow decks, maybe like 3 green decks, 1 or 2 Bizbunk. But like pretty diverse all in all. Only the 1 red deck, but like I said, that deck did perform very well. And it was a teched out red deck. It was a red deck that had misplaces in it. It had Bunkus. It had at least 2 inspiring stories. It was a red deck that was doing it all.
Oh, so it was definitely a sweaty deck.
Yes.
So was it around? Sounds like around 12 people, and was it free to enter?
No, there was an entry fee. It was $35 to enter. And I'm not 100% sure how many players were there, but I would say less than 20.
Okay.
Yeah, more than 12, less than 20. I know there were an odd number too.
Yes.
But yeah.
That's a good turnout.
Oh yeah, not too shabby.
Yeah.
I mean, for
especially with like relatively short notice. Like they only like announced it officially like a few weeks before the tournament was to happen, and it's not like Cherry Hill, New Jersey is a major metropolitan area.
Yeah, we did have a bunch of people coming from New York,
Wow.
New York City there, a couple people from Philly, and just but again, everybody was just so cool and nice. It was just such a fun time.
Yeah. Oh, but also just before we close out the tournament talk, I would like to put out a quick public service announcement for all Vibes players who haven't played tabletop Vibes. Maybe they don't have that much Vibes experience. When you take your mulligan goes on the bottom of your deck. You do not shuffle the mulligan back in. I had so many opponents shuffle their mulligan back into the deck, and that's a big change.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you come from Magic the Gathering
or any other game, I think this is the only game where you put them on the bottom. But it is a big deal. Wow. It's understandable that people would screw it up, but if it's something to think about for when you're playing, in real life.
Wow, that's interesting. So if you draw, 2 popcorns and let's say you throw in, you're not going to see that second one again until the bottom of your deck. I didn't think it was that way in the physical version.
Yeah, in the physical version and in the client, you're supposed to just put it on the bottom of your deck, and then realistically, you never see those cards again. Yellow, you can make an argument that yellow can cycle a card back on top, but for the most part, you're probably not going to see those cards again.
It's good.
So, it changes your perspective a bit for the mulligan.
Yeah, that's good to know. Good tip. Cool. Any last words, Bonk, from the champ? What do you want to tell the people out there trying to get to where you're at?
Please.
Well, if you have any good friends who are good at deck building and that you can practice physical games with, that would be my best advice. Yeah. And closing words, I had a great time again. Just to reiterate, place was awesome. People were awesome. Game is awesome. I will say, like, I played a ton of Vibes on the digital client in season 0, and I had a great time, but I did play a ton, so not as much in season 1. And I feel like that tournament kind of reinvigorated things for me a little bit, and I'm super excited about the Hartford tournament.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks.
Yeah, Bonk,
it's nice of you.
Yeah, Bonk just put everyone on notice. He's fired up.
100%. Watch out.
Yep. World champ coming through.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Bonk. You want to take us to the next topic, Mudman?
Sure. We have one more thing to talk about. We don't really have any information on it, as far as I know.
No.
But there has seemed to have been a major ladder shakeup. Everyone in Dummy Thick has been moved all over the place. Me, personally, I'm loving the ladder shakeup. I jumped up 5 spots. Airy fans everywhere are rejoicing. They're going wild in the streets as he jumped over 80 spots to take the first place. So things have changed. Everything is all topsy-turvy. We've gotten no announcements. And that's about it. Caution, how are you feeling about this?
I mean, Caution Fun's down 20 spots, so Caution Fun fans are rioting in the streets. They got their pitchforks out. Now, I'm obviously I'm not super concerned with my standing this season.
You're already in the big show.
I have the luxury of already being in the big show, so my stress levels are nowhere near where they would be were I vying for a top 8 or a top 16 spot this season. That said, I'm still a little stressed, not just because I'm rooting for my buddies to get in there. Right now we should make note. It is 5:25 Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Savings Time, whatever, on Friday.
April 25th.
Yeah. And apparently this leaderboard change hit, at this point, gosh, must be like 4 or 5 hours ago. And there's been no communication from the team. And I've seen people speculate that, like, they're completely changing, like shifting away from the ELO rating system to a system that's more similar to Season 0. Which seems crazy to me, considering like there's stakes here. Completely changing things more than almost 2/3 of the way through, doesn't seem right. But then what are the alternatives? Like, it's a bug, that's a little concerning. And also, it's been hours at this point. You'd think we would hear, either some acknowledgement of it or, an explanation if it was purposeful. I don't know whether to make heads or tails of this. You know what I mean? I think the not knowing is the worst part.
Yeah. There's anything that you've heard in any Discord is pure conjecture. We have no concrete understanding of what's going on. All we know is everything's topsy-turvy.
Yes. From first glance, it does seem to be much more similar formula to the one that they used in Season 0. Just judging off of what I knew about the leaderboard from Season 0.
Or just looking at the airy factor of it all. He's played more games than anybody else, and he is now at rank 1.
100%, yeah. I don't know. I'd like to think there's no way that they completely changed the parameters more than 2/3 of the way through the season.
Except for it seems that they did.
Right. And I was really hoping that we'd have an announcement before the episode, before we started recording. Really hoping that we'd have an announcement by the time. There's a reason we saved this for last. We were hoping that we'd have more information to give you guys. But yeah, it just doesn't seem that way. Still not sure. What do you make of it, Prof?
Yeah, same thing. I think at this point it's just the confusion is I think what's the loudest thing we're hearing, because of confusion comes from no communication. And at this point, as Mudman said, people are just typing paragraphs with their upgraded Discord accounts to just ask what's going on, and nobody's able to figure out what's happening. And yeah, I think just some sort of announcement from the team would quell some of that, at least let us know what's going on. And if they would have done an announcement before saying they're planning to make a change, that would have been helpful. So I think, the biggest thing is just keeping the community updated on what's going on, or maybe even what happened if it wasn't planned.
Yeah, 100%. It's not like we're going without communications from the team. In fact, 3 minutes ago, we just got another new spoiler from Legend of the Lils. It's the latest tweet on the Vibes Twitter page, Prof. If you want to pull that up, we can talk about it for a sec.
Real time.
Sure.
Live reaction.
Live instant reactions. I can start reading the card now. This card is called Cheeky Side Quest. It is a purple action. It costs 3 purple pudge. And it says, choose a location. Search your deck for a location card with fish cost 1 greater than the chosen location's fish cost. Put it into play. Shuffle your deck.
Whoa. Okay, cool.
That's a lot of words.
You said it. First and foremost, this is our second shuffle mechanic in the game, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a big deal for all those mulligan decisions. If you're running this card or that like mirror twins yellow card,
Yeah.
those are some of the only ways to shuffle your deck.
At this point, yeah, I mean, this honestly kind of leads me to believe that there can only be one location in play at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, this just seems insanely strong if it were to get you an entire extra permanent that you can search for.
It's also leading me to believe that like maybe you'll construct your decks around the locations you're playing. Because if you're running a card that's like searching for a specific location, it leads me to believe that like that 4 of card would be like really critical to your strategy. So maybe it's creating like new deck restrictions or like synergies and stuff like that. Still waiting on what a location is. That'd be cool.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, I feel it has to be a global effect.
Yeah, I'm confident about that, right? Because everyone's in a location. It's not like you're the only one in Orlando.
I wonder if it's just each player can only have one, though. Because it says choose a location, which leads me to believe that there can be more than one on board.
Well, they might be leaving wording open for multiplayer matches in the future and stuff, too. That's a possibility.
For sure. I guess so.
Or you can
That's
just
a good thought.
even if you only can have one active location, you would just choose your opponent's location,
Yeah.
search your deck, replace it.
Yeah, rather than saying in your huddle or your opponent's huddle, just a location. Yeah, that's fair. Interesting. Gosh, I wish there was a location card.
Yeah, one day.
You know what I mean? But that's 2 purple cards that seem to heavily deal with locations rather than things in the ice.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with milling your own cards so far, which is good, right? Because they can't keep adding more mill cards, or else Bunkus is going to hit a critical mass of super solitaire.
Yeah, sure. That's interesting. That'd be cool if we saw purple branch in like a completely different direction.
It's got it. Like there's like the same things. Same thing is
design
true.
space.
Yeah, same thing's true with blue, right? You can't just keep making mill cards, or eventually mill will be too good. It's going to have to go into a different direction eventually. It can't be as simple as yellow and green, where it's just lots of pudge or lots of vibe. That can go on forever.
Also, it's World Penguin Day.
Obviously, come on.
I did not know that. Happy World Penguin Day, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Celebrate the penguins.
Yeah, we got to proliferate the pengu. That's all there is to it. Alrighty. Well, and if this was like a scheduled spoiler for World Penguin Day, I would imagine it would be. Hopefully, now that this clears, we can get some clarity on the leaderboard situation.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll say something eventually. Hopefully, it's today, maybe tomorrow morning.
In the meantime, I'm a huge Aryan Mudman fan, so I'm having a good time.
You're over the moon right now.
Yeah, I'm over the moon.
Yeah, and as a huge Rid fan, Rid jumped up a bunch of spots.
Where's Rid at?
Higher or lower, depending on your perspective.
Rid's number 9.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's
see?
go.
Yeah,
On
see?
the cusp.
On the cusp. Let's go. Is anybody in the top 8 already qualified?
No, Top Hat Panda Magician got dropped far.
He's already qualified.
Yeah, but I wanted him up there because then I can get him a 9th and I still qualify.
Right, yeah.
So like if like Laffy can just like get the lead out of his boots, if Top Hat Panda Magician can just like get back up there, BBQ wants to wake up.
SMA4NY_Dranic is currently 6th. So
There
that
you
would
go.
put Rid in the top 8.
There you go.
There we
Let's
go.
go. Hope
Yeah.
it holds.
And hopefully he stays.
100%. And hopefully we can squeeze you in there somewhere.
Yeah, I hope Mudman shoots up 80 spots.
Then I get a negative a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 15 to negative 70.
Yep.
Nice.
I take negative 70. I'll take negative 50.
Let's just call it top 7 plus Mudman, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they want to just like errata that right now, this Mudman's in. We think he's cool. His mustache is big. It's definitely not fake.
It's not fake.
Are people saying it's fake?
No, but I think that'd be a funny bit if I pretended my mustache and my hair was fake.
I love it.
You were just self-conscious for
It's
no
a really
reason.
good bit.
All right. Interesting. Have more of that next episode.
Cool. Yeah, great job, guys. Anything else we need to throw in here?
That's it for me. Bonk, any final thoughts? You want to call out anybody at Hartford?
No, I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm excited about the new set. All the spoilers are really cool. And thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for telling us about your awesome tournament experience.
Yeah, congrats again, man. It was awesome to witness.
Our pleasure. Cool. Anything from you, Caution?
Oh man, no, just we managed to do another episode if these spoilers keep up, and we have a new set of parameters for qualification in season 1. I mean,
Yeah, might have to do an emergency mid-month podcast. Could be cool.
could be cool.
Nice. Yeah, nothing from me too. Thanks again to Bonk for stopping by and sharing your journey. Definitely, I think listening to you got me excited as well. I took a little break, but hearing how pumped you were and how it reinvigorated you, I think it's good for people to hear that other players in the community.
So we'll see you at Hartford, right, Prof?
We'll shoot for it.
Awesome.
He said
yeah.
yes.
He said yes.
I heard yes.
Yeah. Yup. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Nothing else from me.
Till then, take it easy.
Yep. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you later.
Later.
Bye.
Can we
yeah.
take a quick ending pause? I have to use the bathroom so badly. I was waiting for.
I saw you
a
kind of looking
transition.
like you wanted to leave.
I was
yeah.
thinking I was going to get up while you were talking, but I thought that'd be rude.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry. Just 1 second.
Yep.
No, get back here. Prof, you hear this guy?
Wait, was that for real?
Yeah.
All right.
He left.
All right. Let me stop this then. Sorry.